Now, do you have realistic expectations as you approach retirement? That is a question that many ponder leading up to a planned exit from the workforce. Nolan, there was an article in USA Today that suggests asking yourself these questions. Are these the same ones that you ask?
I think there are a lot of questions that people should ask before they consider retiring and, have a good idea on what they need to know. So number one, you have to ask, is there enough guaranteed income? You want to look beyond Social Security benefits to include things like annuity income, your workplace pension, how much dividends and interest you're going to get off of your investment accounts. Number two, you want to look, can you handle your debts? A zero out credit card debt. Should you pay down or pay off your mortgage? Make sure that you're free and clear of your home. Student loan debt, if those are held by somebody that's over 50, maybe if you've helped a child out either by co-signing or agreeing to take on that debt to help a family member.
Mm-hmm.
I would say if I look at all the hundreds of retirees I've helped over the years, it is very true that those that are out having a great time enjoying life, a general trend is those people are debt free. And so being debt free, I think, is a good way to be when you're moving into retirement time.
Yeah.
Number three is, will you keep working part-time? Don't make an automatic assumption about this. I mean, health problems can be the number one reason that forces somebody in to abruptly leave the workforce. You could have planned to continue to work for the next 5 or 10 years, but unexpectedly, if something health-wise changes, that can really have a big impact on your ability to continue work. But could that extra income impact your Social Security benefits? So if you draw Social Security early before what is considered your full retirement age, that's normally between 66 and 67, depending upon what year you were born, you can actually be penalized by working too much. At the same time, I've known many clients that have continued on doing consulting work as they move into retirement. For those of you who've been following along for a long time, you'll know that Scott and I went out with one of his clients who's a captain. He retired from his normal, let's call it 9-to-5 job.
Uh-huh.
He's a captain out on Lake Erie. He took us out walleye fishing. To me, that's the perfect retirement. Cruising around in a boat, taking friends out fishing for a long time, and can be a great way to keep working in past normal retirement and have some part-time work. The next is you want to look at, is your spending plan realistic? Have you taken into account travel and leisure expenses that might come up during retirement? What about out-of-pocket medical expenses? Does really everything jive with your estimated guaranteed income? And I would say one of the things that, again, is a trend that I've seen, people that run out of money are people that think that they have this big nest egg and they spend way too much of it right away. So yes, you want to take that big trip, maybe that Viking river cruise or some type of river cruise that you've always dreamed of. And there's a time and a place to do that as long as you've looked at the plan. You should talk with your financial advisor before you make big spending plans. I can remember a client years ago that had come in the office and she had gotten back and she had talked about how she just recently purchased like $80,000 in timeshare credits. And I was just like, wow, I can't believe, we didn't really have a conversation because the monthly outflow plus the obligations of what that does,
Mm-hmm.
it really has a big impact when you're taking that much money out in the short term, right as you move into retirement. If you have 250 or 500,000, even if you have $1 million, it may seem like a lot of money, but keep in mind, we're betting on you living. We're betting on your retirement's going to last a long time. And for an average retiree, that could be 20, 25, 30 years or more in retirement time. So you have to be realistic with what your spending plan is. You have to also be realistic in years like 2022 where the market isn't cooperative as what it was last year. Last year, the market did really good. So maybe last year was the year that you spend a little bit more. And this year, with inflation and the market being down, maybe this is the year that you tighten your belt down. Maybe you fix the car, don't replace the car. Maybe you don't go out as often to dinner, but you still build it up to have some fun times and fun things. Maybe do some staycations. There's great places to go here within a couple of hours instead of go to, some faraway destination resort.
Mm-hmm.
The last is, do you invest in the right buckets? Is holding your investments in different types of accounts can help minimize taxes in retirement. Take inventory of pre-tax savings holdings in Roth IRAs, 401ks, health savings account. Know how much you have in tax deferred, tax free type of an accounts. You also want to look at your healthcare expenses. I know Scott talks a lot about that, but healthcare expenses can add up to be something that can be very important to consider. It's going to be even more important for those of you who are looking to retire before the age 65, and you need to go under what is called the Affordable Care Act or COBRA or company workforce insurance. Get an idea on how to do that, because with some strategic planning, there actually are some great ways that we can help lower costs down. I can think of two specific examples that somebody had come in to see us before the end of the year that said, look, we're looking to retire next year. We need to bridge about 2 years till we get to Medicare for health insurance. What should we do? And the good news is because they came in early before the end of the year, we were able to do things that then didn't show up on next year's tax return to help lower their costs down. And I know one family in particular that lowered their costs down by $6,000 a year by doing some proactive planning ahead of the time. So there absolutely are some things that you should consider before you retire, and that's what we're here to help with.
So many people are focused on retirement itself. That is the name of the game. You work, you put your money away, and then eventually you retire. Whether you get that, that pension in the gold pocket watch these days seems a little bit more far-fetched. But there are things that you need to consider actually as you enter into retirement that you just don't think about in the working world, like how taxes are going to be different, or what do you do if you retire before Medicare age? Social Security, how is that going to factor in? And, if we see things like we're having for 2023 with the, one of the more significant COLA increases in decades, how's that going to affect a budget if you already have a plan put in place? That is okay that you haven't thought about it yet. By listening to the show right now, it shows that you're already serious about your retirement. The next step is actually crafting a plan to not just ask the questions, but figure out the answers as it's going to pertain to you. And the team at America's Retirement Headquarters, they can help you answer those questions. 419-794-3030 is the phone number. That's how you get started. Schedule a time to speak with them. You can also go online, americasretirementheadquarters.com.